from your opinion, do you think the NHS is broken?
I think the NHS is broken. My mum was in there a couple of weeks ago. She had really bad stomach aches, and she was sat in A&E for 10 hours. But she said she was heartbroken. And she said she could have cried just through looking at some of the old grandmas and old granddads that are in there on beds for like 15, 16 hours of waiting. And she said it really upset her to see him. My mum's getting on as well. But it was, I just think it is broken. But I also look at hospitals a lot differently. I would never trust it with my health. But if I was to go in there and I had my appendix was swelling up, they'd take my appendix out and fix it. If I broke my leg, they'd fix it. If I cut myself and needed stitches, they'd look after me. Yeah. So the more I always look at it as it's a fixer. It's not, I shouldn't depend on the hospital to look after my health. Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to look at it. And I think that's the way the UK has to look at it. It's not just a free healthcare system in terms of how do I lose weight? Let's go the NHS.
Nothing's free.
No, exactly.
Someone's paying for it.
Yeah, and and you got to put your own hard work in sometimes.
Yeah.
It doesn't come down to all situations, but do you think the NHS needs reform?
Most definitely, yeah. I think there's a lot of changes that needs to be made in the NHS, and I'm sat now and I sit with the chair of the ICB board. Who helps, who sits on the NHS across 3 regions. I'm getting to know a lot more about the NHS and how it works and how it runs, which is interesting, because obviously for me as mayor, my portfolio is fit and healthy. So I want to bring everything back to the communities. The community centre is what we had as kids, where we used to go play a bit of pool, some darts. There was a tuck shop. Like that worked. That was fantastic. It gave kids somewhere to go on an evening. But we can do more than that. So all the ones that have been decommissioned and closed down, for this region, I really want to get back into open up the community centres, get the sport aspect in there. So get kids fit, get them moving, but also add in education as well. Like where you got your retired bricklayer that might voluntarily come along and help teach the kids how to build a brick wall, like education, that side as well. So it's like, we all know it used to work and they're not about as many nowadays. So I want to bring them back to life, but then add on to what we know what worked.
And, the points you mentioned about the NHS being broken, like, what do you think can be done to fix it? Is there a simple answer to that?
I don't think there is. I don't think there is a simple answer to that. I always look at it, like you say, it's good for some stuff and maybe not so good for other stuff. But I always look at it as that, you've got an all-you-can-eat restaurant, that's cheap food, but you can get as much quantity as you can have. Or you can go and have a really nice meal somewhere. It's a quality meal, but you've got to pay more money for it.
Yeah.
I always look at that as that's the NHS and, this is private.
And can we reduce waiting times? That you mentioned that earlier about like people sitting in waiting rooms for 16 hours and something. Is there a quick fix? Do we need more hospitals, or do we,
Well, I think we need to bring it more back into community base. I think the heart of the communities. I think everything stems in the heart of communities. So I think we can bring certain things back to our communities that will take pressure off the hospitals.
Yeah. Okay.
And
you got quite a lot of involvement with Nigel Farage, and obviously he was spearheading the whole Brexit. Being a business owner, you're a business owner. My view on Brexit was that it's probably the worst thing that's happened to the UK. I don't know if you agree, but is there any chance of us coming back in? Is this back into Europe?
I have no idea on that. I look at. There's a lot of people that say Brexit was really bad for this country, but then. And our economy's down because of it. But then if you look at Germany and France, who are still in it, their economy is more broken than ours. And they're in it.
Yeah.
So there's arguments on both sides. As far as I was aware, I thought Boris Johnson did that deal because he was Prime Minister. So I thought he did that deal. But other than that, I'm not too sure. I stepped up to be mayor to look after, to be a part of the community in this region. You know, so under my remit, we have skills, transport, health, housing, and investment. So I've got to focus on them. And normally when I get national politics come at me, I say, go and ask the MPs.
Yeah.
That's their job.
Yeah, no, good.
They get paid to be an MP. Go and ask them.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where I lie with it all.
So yeah, we spoke about the NHS, you know, and needing reform, but what kind of power do you have as mayor to make changes?
Very limited at the moment. I know with devolution, more powers are coming down to the mayors, but all the decisions are made in government with what happens with the NHS. So it's all on them. And I think obviously they've made a lot of movement. I mean, I think they've, you know, after the workforce are getting laid off in the NHS, and they say that the speeding waiting times up, but I ain't seen none of that yet.
Yeah.
But like I say, it's all on the government. I don't have any control. I wish I did have control in this region of how we can change things, but you know, unfortunately, I don't.